Hey there, YouTube. It's PD Two Finger. I've got some movie recommendations. I watched the film 1968 Dark of the Sun. So, this is about a couple of mercenaries who get a job working in South Africa where they have to go in. They have to ride this little short train that's armored to the hilt. Go in, get the diamonds, get the girl and the family or whatever it is, and then extract everybody and get them out in 3 days. So it was a really interesting, well-made film. I guess they were trying to show that even though this guy was he was a mercenary, he still had a set of value. You can come in. He was the mercenary with the heart of gold. He wasn't like a dirtbag guy. He had a partner who was real rough and tumble. They're both real badass guys, but his partner was huge, African American dude who did not hate white people. He made a point to talk about that in the film, to address that. Now, they didn't portray, there's like the local army guys that are working for them. The natives are like, they've got Zulu paint, but they're wearing dungarees and they've got rifles. So there was a lot of like savage bad guys in the movie. It's definitely really a gritty, action-packed, a lot of bullets. There was some really cool stuff with the audio where maybe it was a language barrier and they just showed people shouting. Like there was this railway scene where they didn't have all the audio was just sound effects, and when people were verbalizing to each other, they didn't dub it or anything. They just were going to turn the sound effects up, and that's supposed to be like covering up for the fact. So that was a really weird feel to it, and there was some scene at the end of the movie where they were on ropes, and there's this incredible fight scene, and at one point they're on vines and they're going down the vines fighting each other, and they were interlacing some like green screen footage that they tried with that really didn't work, did not work. There's some rough editing in it, but it was a charming movie. Dark of the Sun, 1968. Like they don't make movies like this anymore. They really don't, and it's a shame that they don't. But on the flip side of that, the other movie we watched was influenced by Dirty Harry and I would say the French Connection. In French Connection, there's a cop who goes by the name Popeye Doyle, and he is a racist. This is his defense mechanism because he works in Harlem. He's a detective in the hood in New York in 73 or 72 when it's gone to hell. It's bad. It was really bad. New York was not good back then. So this movie is called Badge 373. It stars Robert Duvall as a racist New York cop whose partner has been killed. And he is out to bring justice to his partner's killers. He's actually off the police force. And, Robert Duvall is just a likable guy. He doesn't fit into his clothes very well. He had this rubber cast on his hand. And no shortage of racial slurs. He is just calling a spade, but he's not using that word. He's got a couple colorful racial slurs that he is, and I couldn't stop. He he's running down the alley and trying to get in a door, I'm saying,
Quoting him from earlier.
Quoting him from earlier, yeah. I could not stop quoting him, just because it was funny to me that
it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah. So, oh, how times have changed. And, I mean, obviously the better movie is Dark of the Sun. You definitely want to check that one out. I had never heard of this Robert Duvall movie. There's a scene in it with a bus where he's getting chased by like a ridiculous amount of mob guys, and they're like street thugs. They've got like pipes, and some of them have guns, but they're just like stealing cars and chasing after him. He runs into a bus, a public transportation, like we call it a CTA bus, and he's driving this bus, and the people are like, "Oh, man, stop and let us off the bus, man!" And he's like, "Get down." That's all he says to him. He doesn't say, "I'm a cop" or anything. He just says, "Get down on the floor." That's all that he says. Because at one point he puts it in reverse and backs into a bunch of... that scene with the people pleading for him, the background, there's some great... The background audio or the Foley in both of these movies is definitely worth paying attention to. There was some great scene in Dark of the Sun when they first load up this mini train. They have this train, it's like 4 cars, like an engine, 2 cars, and a caboose. Maybe. Or maybe there's one more in the middle, I don't know. But it's full of mercenaries. It's full of African guys with guns. And those dudes, as soon as they get on the train, this jungle beat starts. And they're all just going like this. And like the one guy's playing air guitar on his rifle. And they're all just jamming. They're all just like with sticks. Like I don't know, that seemed really racist. That seemed like a white director instigated that. Like, are they really gonna start air guitaring on their right? Like, they can't control themselves from feeling the jungle rhythm the minute they get on the train. They can't, you're getting paid to go, like you're on the job. You're packing heat and you're supposed to be guarding the train, but you're getting your funk on. So yeah, it's not without its flaws and things that I did notice things in there, weird stuff with the editing and the weird audio and like the scenes in the train yard when they just got video of guys screaming at each other with no audio. It's just some train sound effect over it. But it worked really well. I had a bizarre dream that when I woke up this morning, I was doing sound for a band and like they were feeding back. I never really heard the band's music. I've never heard music in a dream. So, this German, he had like a burlap green, he was like kind of built guy, like a big guy. He had a miniature deformed version of himself that was like 2 feet tall. He put him, it was their granddaughter that was a singer, he put that little deformed guy was standing on my knees to see, because I was sitting at the board. He put this guy like up on me to see. And it was like in this basement that was kind of like, if I had a house, it was like a lot of soldering iron and wires. There was all music gear everywhere. And it was full of folding chairs. It was full of people watching this band. It was the end of the year party. It was either Halloween or Christmas. I don't know. There was 2 guys next to me, like college students, like a Larry Mullen Jr. looking guy. And like zits on his face. And he was like all loud and he was saying like, "Oh, this is the time of the year where you're going to run into it anywhere." And he like made this motion and I looked down and there was a sheet of acid he had put on my lap. So I'm looking at this LSD, and it's like, it's more like kind of like fun fair tickets. It's not thick. It's like this dream that I had. So I rip off a corner of this LSD to taste it, to see if it's like bitter. I can opt out of this experience. And the guy's like coaching me, like telling me how much I'll need to take and what to expect. And I said, "Oh no, I'm hip." Like, and he's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "No, I've cooked LSD. I'm a chef." In my dream, I was like, I've extracted. I was like giving him my whole psychedelic resume. So I ditched those squares and I went over and sat down in the crowd to watch the band. And there was this guy sitting next to me, kind of like a square white guy with like a blue sweater, and he had like a Chris Ducey haircut. And he was like, he didn't like the music, and then he just started singing like Harry Nilsson. He was like all like these high notes and vibrato, and like it was beautiful. And I've never heard music in my dream that I ever remember, but this guy was singing in my dream. And I know it was some sentimental song. I wish I could remember what the lyric was. But I heard this dream. It had psychedelic drugs. I was doing sound. It had a tiny deformed German. I know a little German. He's right over there. It had everything. Nilsson, like, I didn't want to leave. And then, of course, I wake up. Usually I wake up and it's because the dream was so horrific. But yeah, I do take a pain medication that the nickname is the God of Dreams. One of my medications, that's a side effect of it, so I can't expect to have a really vivid dream from time to time. And that was a pleasant dream. That was like, it was weird that I told that guy that I cooked LSD, and I've never done that. That was weird. But the rest of it was like another day at the office. Anyway, you guys check those movies out. Dark of the Sun, 1968. You can watch this stuff on Look Movies. Will be your last place to look if you can't find it on YouTube or whatever your streaming service of choice. But Dark of the Sun, 1968, and then Badge 373. If you like Robert Duvall, if you like cop movies, if you like racial slurs, and that's I gotta warn you, if people are sensitive to that stuff, like if your boyfriend just got out of lockup and he's a Puerto Rican, you don't want to put this movie on for him. Anyway, you guys take care of yourselves. Try to stay cool. Hug your pets. And peace.